He used to hum in the mornings, softly, almost like a lullaby meant only for her ears. But lately, there was silence. Not cold, not hostile, just a dull absence, like something forgotten on purpose. Lena felt it before she admitted it. Josh hadn't changed overnight. It had been a slow fading, the kind that's hard to name, but impossible to ignore. They still had dinner together, still brushed teeth side by side, still kissed each other goodbye. But something was gone, not loudly, quietly, respectfully even. He came home late again. She asked how work was. "Same as always," he replied, without looking up. He had a habit now of keeping his phone in his pocket, locked tight behind facial recognition. He never used to care who picked up his calls. Now he picked them up before they rang a second time. She told herself not to overthink it. Maybe work really was stressful. Maybe he was just tired. People drift. Relationships have seasons. That's what she read online. That's what she told herself. But the ache in her stomach wasn't seasonal. It was instinct. One night, curled up on the couch, a black and white film playing low, she began to nod off. His arm was around her. He leaned close, his breath brushed her ear. "Take it easy, baby," he whispered, soft as cotton. She smiled faintly and let her eyes close. The words warmed her but also confused her. They didn't feel spontaneous. They felt rehearsed, too casual, like a line delivered too many times before. Later that night, she lay in bed staring at the ceiling. That whisper played over and over again in her head. It was sweet, but it didn't sound like it belonged to her. It echoed differently, as if it had been said in a different room to someone else, and she'd caught a rerun. In her dream, the whisper came again, but not from Josh, from a stranger in shadow who looked like him but didn't have his eyes. She woke with a start and reached for him, but he was already in the shower. His phone buzzed twice. A message flashed on the lock screen. No name, just a heart emoji. She didn't open it. She didn't need to. The next morning she made coffee. He didn't touch it, said he was running late. She watched him tie his shoelaces and noticed his hands shaking. Barely, but it was there. When he kissed her goodbye, it didn't linger. It used to. She sat alone after he left, coffee going cold in her hands, that whisper still looping in her head like background noise. It should have been comforting, but it felt like a fingerprint on someone else's glass. She didn't cry, not yet. She just sat there, still breathing in the silence he left behind, and quietly began to accept what she wasn't ready to say aloud. She started noticing things she never had to think about before. A second wine glass in the sink, faint lipstick marks not in her shade, a perfume that clung to his shirt sleeves, floral, not hers, too sweet. Josh had always been consistent, predictable in ways that brought comfort, but now his routines were shifting in barely noticeable ways. She saw it in how he double-checked his phone, how he kept its screen down, always on silent, always near. He mentioned a new project at work, more meetings, more after-hours commitments. No specifics, just generalities that didn't match the calendar invites she knew used to exist. When she asked who he met with, he'd shrug or offer vague names she didn't recognize. He never used to forget details. He never used to dodge questions. So she stopped asking directly. Instead, she observed, let the silences stretch, and watched how uncomfortable he became inside them. She offered him things, small tests, a suggestion to meet for lunch near his office. He declined, said he'd already eaten, even though she saw his untouched lunchbox in the fridge when she came home that night. Then came the voice note. She wasn't looking for it, not really. His smartwatch buzzed on the nightstand when he was in the shower. She tapped it by reflex, intending to dismiss a notification. Instead, it opened a voice message. A woman laughing softly, then a low whisper, unmistakable. "Take it easy, baby." Her stomach tightened, her skin flushed cold. She stood still, holding her breath, waiting for the voice to repeat, hoping maybe it was distorted, misheard. But no. It was clear, gentle, intimate. She locked the screen, placed it back exactly how she found it, and sat on the edge of the bed. That whisper, the same words he had used with her, weren't special. They were part of a script. She wasn't the only audience. He stepped out of the shower, towel around his waist, smiling like nothing had shifted. She smiled back, lips trembling slightly. He didn't notice, or he chose not to. She didn't confront him. Not yet. She didn't need confirmation. She already had it. She spent the next few days watching him closer than ever. The half-second delays in his answers, the way he avoided her eyes when she mentioned love or the future, the missing warmth in his touch like a coat that had already been worn by someone else. She lay beside him at night, still and quiet, like a stranger occupying familiar space. Her thoughts spiraled, but her face gave nothing away. The distance between them had shape now, a voice, a phrase. She stopped asking for explanations. She started preparing for the answer, in silence with precision, because there's a kind of betrayal worse than physical. It's the one where love is repeated, recycled, whispered into multiple ears with the same tone and no meaning. And she had finally heard it. She didn't plan a dramatic reveal. There was no shouting match, no threats, just timing and control. She chose a night when everything appeared normal. He came home to the smell of dinner, soft music, low lighting. He relaxed, assuming comfort, unaware that every detail was arranged for truth, not romance. She poured him wine, served his favorite dish. He smiled, said she looked beautiful. She nodded, watched him eat. He talked about work again, about new strategies and deadlines. She listened quietly, let him finish. Then she reached into the drawer, pulled out his smartwatch, placed it gently between them. His fork froze. His eyes flicked to the watch, then to her. She pressed play. The voice filled the space. Soft laughter, then those same words. "Take it easy, baby." A woman's voice, not hers, not distorted, unmistakable. The silence that followed was thick and sharp. He didn't touch the watch, didn't deny it. Just stared at her with that hollow panic people wear when caught without an excuse. "How long?" she asked, her voice even. He opened his mouth, then closed it. She waited. No anger in her expression, no tears, just stillness. Eventually he spoke, said he didn't plan it, that it just happened, that he didn't know how to end it or how to tell her, that he didn't want to hurt her. She laughed once, soft and humorless. "You didn't want to hurt me, so you just did it quietly." He looked down, ashamed or pretending to be. She wasn't sure which. He said he was confused, that he still cared, that he didn't want to lose her. She shook her head. "You already did. You just didn't feel it yet." He tried to touch her hand. She moved it away. Told him the damage wasn't in the act, it was in the lies, the comfort he found in duplicating intimacy. That phrase he whispered, it wasn't an accident, it was a habit. Something he said without thinking, like a reflex. That's what cut deepest. She had believed it was for her. He had made it meaningless. She didn't need more explanation. She had all the pieces. She looked at him and saw someone she no longer recognized. Not because he cheated, but because he had stopped choosing her long before the betrayal. She stood up, took her plate to the sink. He asked if this was the end. She didn't answer right away, just stared at the window, the reflection of her face in the glass. Then finally said, "You don't get to share that kind of softness with two people and expect no one to notice." He asked what she wanted him to do. She replied, "Nothing. This was never about fixing us. This was about seeing if you'd tell the truth before I had to show it to you." She left the table without looking back. No screaming, no begging, no breakdown. Just the quiet collapse of something that